We have the latest on the delay in the opening of the Fishing Hole Road Bridge, the Grand Bahama Power Company warning customers of an emerging scam, and hear how the Hawks of 94 are giving back to the community. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening all. I'm Shashina Roll Parkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news tonight, we have an update on the Fishing Hole Road Bridge. As residents on Grand Bahama anticipate a date for the new causeway to be opened, the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Works says safety is their priority, and he shares that some of the challenges encountered during the construction phase. Natalia Hall has the details.
Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Works, Iram Lewis, says he and his team are ensuring that the bridge is constructed the right way and is safe for the motoring public before given an opening date. He says there is a delay due to some traffic management issues.
We weren't pleased with the way the fishing village to the north, or the fish fry, was accessed or exited. So we went back to the drawing board with the design build team, and we asked them to modify what was presented because it didn't fit in with the Road Traffic Act. It was sort of a danger to vehicular and pedestrian movement. They went back to the drawing board, and our civil designs has reviewed, and what is now being done is more in line with what we expect from a safety perspective.
Lewis says the lower road will remain as a service road to move heavy equipment. And as it relates to the vendor stalls, he says a maintenance program will be put in place.
Those stalls are being managed by the Ministry of Agriculture. They will be issued out to Bahamian vendors, and we hope that in as much as possible we'll be selling Bahamian food and craft at the location. And as we expand, we're going to encourage more small businesses to occupy the area. And we'll have to now look at a bigger master plan to see how we could increase those stalls and increase the fish fry, for lack of a better word, and empower more of our local Bahamians.
And for those who are concerned as to what the bridge will be named, the Parliamentary Secretary had this to say.
I mean, persons can have the right to make recommendations moving forward, but that doesn't come on our portfolio. But once it is done, and a decision is made, and we probably would be assisting with putting up the signs and so forth, but that is not anywhere in our review or in our, I guess, forward vision right now. That is totally secondary.
He also thanked all road users for their patience.
I know a lot of persons would have expected it to be open, and thank God we haven't had the need to use it. Last year, no hurricanes. This year, again, no storm surge. So again, that's through the grace of God. And we believe that He's given us grace so far, and the necessary provision will be made in time for if there's a need to use that causeway, it will be done in time for that. And if there's an emergency situation now, it can be used to transport across the creek.
It's Talia Hall, ZNS Network News.
In other news, the Grand Bahama Power Company issuing a warning to customers about an emerging scheme. GBPC posting on a statement on its social media sites warning customers against scammers claiming to represent the utility company. Megan Shepard fills us in.
According to the statement issued by the Grand Bahama Power Company, often the alleged scammers will call customers demanding immediate payment for a new digital meter, require payment to be made by a debit or credit card over the phone or other forms of payment, or threaten immediate disconnection. The statement continues, saying that GBPC representatives will never call customers demanding immediate payment via telephone with the threat of disconnection. GBPC will never require any payment via telephone, and that all GBPC payments should be made on their website, at their headquarters, or authorized payment locations. To safeguard yourself against scams, GBPC recommends keeping the following things in mind if you receive a call that is unexpected or sounds suspicious. never give out credit card or other payment information over the phone, end suspicious calls and contact their customer contact center at 352-8411 to ensure that you are speaking with a GBPC representative. Should you ever have any questions about your account status, balance, payment options, or anything else about your service, contact their customer solutions department. And if you have fallen victim to the scam and paid the fraudulent caller, you are encouraged to report the fraud to local law enforcement officials. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Megan. Well, in other news, last night we brought you the story about an elderly man who died following a gruesome attack by bees in the Caraval Beach community last Wednesday. The man, identified as 82-year-old Keith Finley, died in hospital one day later after his body shut down due to the amount of bee stings. Well, the news sent shockwaves across the island and has left many residents with questions. In this report, an expert in the field is weighing in on the situation and shares some key advice for persons who may be faced with a similar situation. Italia Hall reports.
Operations Manager at Budget Pest Control Hugh Ferguson says they were called after the incident occurred, but by the time a technician arrived on the scene, someone had already depopulated the hive. He says the technician was able to take the container that the bees may have been in and the honeycomb back to the store to conduct an inspection.
We've had almost 100% of the attacks that occurred. The beehive was found to be in the ground, in cavities in the ground, or in containers, debris, abandoned furniture, buckets, tires, washing machines, and so on.
He says indiscriminate dumping often attracts bees, and he's appealing to the culprits to stop. The pest control expert says there are several types of bees, and he is not sure which type attacked Keith Finley.
The only way that you can be sure of the whether it's Africanized, hybridized, or whether it's European, it's by doing what's called a morphometric examination. That was done a couple of years ago, about 15 or so years ago, so we know that we have Africanized on the island. In this particular case, bees are generally, as far as the naked eye is concerned, all look alike.
Ferguson says he's not trying to alarm the public because bees are not enemies, they are pollinators, but he wants residents to be aware because over the years there were several attacks on Grand Bahama.
If, for instance, children or the elderly or people who are challenged mobilely, they can really be injured, seriously injured, die from bee attacks because they attack in such large numbers.
Ferguson says September to December is an active time for bees.
Bees are provisioning for the winter, so they are all about. They're gathering honey, they're gathering nectar, they're attracted to sweets, soda cans, and all that material. So we tend to have an issue with the schools at this time because when the school gets back in, you have kids who are putting juice cans and soda cans in the garbage, and then you have those bees attracted to that.
He is asking officials at schools throughout the island to be careful and limit the amount of sweet drinks they serve to students. But the question on the minds of many is, what to do if you are being attacked by bees? Well, he says do not swat them and to move away slowly.
Seek shelter. If you're able to go into a vehicle, run inside of a structure. The light variance between outside and inside is going to be such that when the bees get in behind you to attack you or attacking you, the light variance will confuse the bees and they would then leave you alone and seek the light source. And so the thing is to get indoors, get into a vehicle, get into the house, and the attack will pretty much break off at that point. But please do not go in any water. Don't go into the ocean. Don't go into the sea. Don't go in any pool because you will not be able to come up for air since they will be there waiting on you.
Now, Ferguson says if you are stung by bees, you should seek medical attention as soon as possible. But if you decide to treat a sting at home, you can make a paste with baking soda and water, which will help to neutralize the venom. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Meanwhile, some residents on Grand Bahama calling for more sensitivity during times of tragedy. They say far too often persons on the scenes of horrific incidents record and post videos and photos to social media rather than rushing to help.
We need to get rid of these cell phones, to tell you the truth.
Many residents on Grand Bahama voicing their disgust about the insensitivity of persons on the scene of emergency situations, recording victims as opposed to helping or calling for help. The most recent incident taking place in the nation's capital as a video of a young woman went viral after she allegedly smashed the glass window to a home, causing serious injuries to herself. Many questioned why it was more important to record rather than find ways to help preserve the young woman's life. But these residents say this has happened far too often. From murder victims to car accidents, nothing seems to be off limits.
Believe so. Some people do, but some people that cares, but majority is like they only do it just to say they know the story or just to say they know something.
Yes, because the family is supposed to be notified before anything. Yes, so they should be sensitive about those issues.
In some cases, we are becoming insensitive, considering the fact that it's a human life, and that person have loved ones, and so, being able to see something of such a magnitude of a family member definitely hurts, I believe.
I think you should have not record it. I think you should have the person.
I think so, because sometimes some things we don't need to record it because people have family too, and I don't feel like we should put them in open like that.
The Bahamas is foreign. That's a foreign thing. So that's what we do. We for whatever they do, we do.
That's just social media, because I don't know, you might just be doing it for likes, or I don't think you're supposed to get someone final hour.
Stop and think, if it were us in that situation, would we want to die that way without a sense of decency or integrity? We need to be more thoughtful, man.
It's just disgusting. I mean, they should at least see if they could lend a hand before they do that.
I don't like it because I don't like to see them type of stuff. I don't even watch the videos like we're going around. Just really don't like it.
But these residents say there are times when it can work in a victim's favor.
Well, I mean, in terms of if you're sometimes in the case of maybe evidence or something like that, or just for the record to say that, you captured something. But as far as to say just publishing whatever you come across could be painful.
Rather, you record me. If I get shoot, record that. Okay. Make me Tupac.
The purpose is just to say, if you catch the person in the act, yeah, it should be okay to say you're trying to help someone, catch justice, but
it also can be helpful. Like he was saying, suppose they record the fight, but when it first started, before anything happened, they got the person and they recorded the murder, so it could be helpful. You could catch the person in the crime. But now, yeah, I'm saying posting it too early, that's very insensitive, and especially you're talking about, somebody dying, you gotta respect. You gotta, respect that person.
Here's the advice they're giving to persons before they hit the record button.
If you could pull out your phone and record, why not? Call the ambulance, call the police. The first thing they think is just to record, and that shouldn't be.
Try to change. Let's make peace with one another. Let's love one another. Let's love our neighbor. Let's be our brothers and sisters keeper. You understand me? Let's be a helping hand to one another.
Sometimes if you record something, you should want to at least hold it or turn it over to the relative authorities, and then let them make a decision as to how soon something like that, or if it should be published at all.
Think about your own family and how you would feel before you put those things on the WhatsApp or the Facebook.
I think I'm sensitive. They should if they know the person, call their family first, let them know what's going on.
Because at the end of the day, it might do more damage than good. Let the police do their work. That is what they're there for.
And coming up, meet a young man who turned his life around and is now making a positive difference.